Well, good evening. We'll call this meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order. Please stand for the invocation led by Reverend Lori Huey of St. Elizabeth's Episcopal Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Jerome Adams.
Let us pray. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of Sebastian. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders of your people. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, please, Sally.
Mayor Gilmore.
Here.
Vice Mayor Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Coy. Here. Councilmember Hill.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Thank you.
Under agenda modifications, Mr. Ginsburg, you have one?
Yes, sir. The clerk has distributed a proposed letter prepared and to be signed by the building official. I would ask the City Council to please add this to the agenda as your last item under unfinished business, 10D.
I'd like to make a motion to add it as 10B.
Okay, I'll second that. Everybody all right with that? Okay. Everybody's nodding their head, so I guess we're good. All righty, that will be on item under unfinished business 10D. Okay, are there any other agenda modifications? Could we get the speakers turned down, or this mic is real hot? So I've got reverberation here, so.
No, turn the mics down, not the speakers.
Pardon me?
The
Yeah.
speakers are great. I can finally hear.
Okay, all right. I think my mic was a little too hot. Okay, we've got some proclamations, and the first one, I think, will be for police. All right. Hi, Chief. This is a proclamation for National Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th. That's my wife's birthday. National Police Week from May 10th through May 16th, 2015. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas members of the City of Sebastian Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city, and whereas it is important that all citizens understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of the police department, which include safeguarding life and property, protecting citizens against violence and disorder, the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the City of Sebastian Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service, now therefore the Sebastian City Council does hereby call upon residents to observe the week of May 10th through the May 16th, 2015 as National Police Week with appropriate ceremonies and observances, and further to observe May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their communities or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. And I have signed this proclamation, Chief, and I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say something?
Thank you all very much, and especially Council and Mayor Gilmore. We are very blessed in this community that the police department has such great support from everyone. And we want you to know that even with all the controversy that's going on in the world today involving law enforcement, that we really do appreciate our community that much more because you all have truly stood beside us and helped us out. And on behalf of all the officers, I mean, they are wonderful, wonderful people. This is Sergeant Steve Marcinick, and yes, I said Sergeant. For those of you that didn't know, Steve was promoted a month ago.
Hey, Steve.
Corporal Ron Carlson and Officer Jason Gillette. Steve is on his way home. Steve's on his way home for the day, and the other two gentlemen will be here till 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so please keep the whole shift in your prayers. Thank you. Thank you.
This next proclamation is for the Sebastian Area Historical Society. Come on up, Wilma. This is a proclamation for the Sebastian Area Historical Society 30th anniversary, May 31st, 2015. Whereas the Sebastian Area Historical Society Incorporated, established on May 31st, 1985, celebrates its, wow, 85, 30 years. Who knew? It seems like. I lost my place. Whereas the Sebastian Area Historical Society is dedicated to the preservation of the history of the Sebastian River area through research and publications made possible by donations of historical materials and funds. And whereas the Sebastian Area Historical Society works to preserve historical materials, buildings, and sites for the enjoyment of present and future generations, and presents local history to the community and visitors through a museum, educational programs, and exhibits. And whereas the Sebastian Area Historical Society is a nonprofit organization supported by memberships, grants, and gifts, and whereas the Sebastian Area Historical Society observes its 30th anniversary with special programs on, that's this Saturday, correct? May 16th, 2015, at its museum in the former 1927 public school and former city hall at 1235 Main Street in the Sebastian Municipal Complex. Now, therefore, the Sebastian City Council does hereby congratulate the Sebastian Area Historical Society on their 30th anniversary, and we urge the community to visit the Historical Society on May 16th, that's this Saturday, to help them celebrate and to learn more about the history of the Sebastian River area. What time does that start? 1 p.m. 1 p.m. So there you go. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor to serve as president for these past few years, and we are always looking for volunteers. So anybody who wants here, we'll sign you up. Thank you.
Thank you. This next proclamation is for the National Historic Preservation Month. Are those folks here? Oh, there she is. I didn't see her come in. Come on up. I feel real tall when I'm next to you. Come on up. Let me give this proclamation. This is for National Historic Preservation Month, May 2015. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for economic development, tourism, promotion, growth management, neighborhood revitalization, fostering local pride, and maintaining overall community character. And whereas historic preservation encourages community reinvestment, saving resources, and promoting socially, culturally, and economically rich communities. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the theme for National Historic Preservation Month 2015 in the city of Sebastian is Valuing Our Sense of Place, Discover, Preserve, Cherish, co-sponsored by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Indian River County Historical Society, and the Sebastian Area Historical Society. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Sebastian City Council, we do hereby declare that Historic Preservation Month be established in the month of May 2015 in recognition of the vital role historic preservation plays in our community. And
I never miss an opportunity. Good evening. My name is Ruth Stanbridge. David Foster, the president of our society, was not able to be here tonight, so I'm here on behalf of our board of directors to thank you for this proclamation. Since 1983, the society's mission has been to discover, and a lot of times to rediscover, and always to preserve the natural, cultural, and historical resources of our county and all the communities within. From working to save sites like the Jungle Trail in the 1980s to supporting archaeological and historical surveys in the 1990s, that was countywide, and now in the 21st century promoting eco-heritage tourism throughout the county. The society and the citizens of Indian River County and Sebastian are very much aware of the term a sense of place, and we definitely know of its value. Now, with our latest threat looming in the disguise of fast-moving trains, the society wants all of you to know that we aim to do our part. Your proclamation today and those we have gathered from the other cities in our county and from the county commission will be used at an appropriate time and in a proper venue to demonstrate the commission and the commitment we all have for our resources. So again, we thank you.
this is a proclamation for National Safe Boating Week, and that's going to be accepted by Tommy. Is Tommy Augustin and Fran Ibers? Did I say that right? Yes, sir. Okay, come on down.
Thank you very much.
Sir, come on up here. Oh. This is a proclamation for National Safe Boating Week, May 16th through 23rd. Whereas on average 700 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., approximately 70 of these are fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors, and whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets, and whereas today's life jackets are more comfortable, more attractive, and more wearable than styles of years past, and deserve a fresh look by today's boating public, now therefore the Sebastian City Council does hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating Campaign and proclaims May 16th through 23rd, 2015 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. And so here is that proclamation. Gentlemen, would you like to say something? Come on
up. First, just a slight correction. I have with me tonight, my name is Franz Ibers, by the way. I'm a Vice Flotilla Commander for Flotilla 5-6. We are Vero Beach, Sebastian. We've been here since 1942. And with me tonight is Fred Coombs, who is our Staff Officer for Human Resources in the flotilla. I apologize for Mr. Augustin. He, at the last minute, had to bow out, could not make it tonight. So Fred gratefully stepped in to fill the shoes of our flotilla commander. Just as an explanation, we are part of the United States Coast Guard. We are the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. Our main mission is boating safety in America. We push boating safety through training, through education of people on public education, through people in the community. We go out on safety patrols to assist in boat shows and so forth. So you've seen us around, we are there, but it's boating safety that we want to emphasize. And the statistics that you just heard tonight, unfortunately, happen every year. 600 a year are the deaths in the United States. Florida leads the country in boating accidents. Unfortunately, Florida also leads the country in boating deaths. And we have, as was pointed out, 70% of the people involved in a death on boating die from drowning. 84% of those people that die without a life jacket on. So consider that. We push life jackets. We push it on kids. We push it on adults. And we can't say enough about that. This is what it's all about. One of the statistics that I think is particularly telling is that 70% of the deaths in the United States occur on boats under 21 feet in length. So we're not talking the Queen Mary sinking here. This is your local fishermen. This is your local neighbors that have just gone out for a day on the water. It's important. So to us, that's our mission. We thank you very much for this proclamation. The boating week starts this coming Saturday, continues through next Saturday. There'll be other events put on by the other auxiliary flotillas in our area. Please get out there. We'll see you at the ramps. We'll be doing vessel inspections. And just remember, when you're on the water, please be safe. That's what it's all about. Okay? Thank you very much.
Wayne, come on down. May is a wonderful month. It's Proclamation Month, I think. This is for Building Safety Month, May 2015, whereas our city's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound, and is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas the international codes that are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states and include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms. We don't have much problem down here. So. Tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes, and Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. Now, therefore, the Sebastian City Council does hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as Building Safety Month and encourages our citizens to join with their communities in participation of Building Safety Month activities. So, would you like to say something, Wayne? Come on up.
Thank you. I'd like to first thank our building department staff for all their hard work all year long, and just encourage people to come by the building department. We have a lot of really good brochures and handouts in there about building safety and hurricane preparedness. Thank you.
All right, under brief announcements, we have Sebastian Historical Society. I think we already announced that, but we're going to announce it again.
Mr. Mayor, we have one more presentation.
Oh, okay, that's right. Is Daisy here? There she is. Daisy Packer, Keep Indian River Beautiful. She has a brief presentation. Hello, Daisy.
Hi, how are you all?
Good.
Do we have the PowerPoint? Okay. If not, that's okay too, but. She doesn't. No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm just here today to tell you all about what's coming up with Keep Indian River Beautiful. We have, I'm the new executive director. I took over for Vicki after she moved to the Sebastian Chamber of Commerce. And I have 10 years of experience working with Keep America Beautiful affiliates, which if everybody remembers the Crying Indian commercials from a long time ago, that's who we're affiliated with. And so our goals coming up are the board and I are working on creating a more well-rounded organization instead of the focus strictly on recycling, which we still absolutely have a big focus on with single stream coming into the community. But this Saturday we have beautification project with the city of Fellsmere at Grant Park that we're looking for volunteers for. We are partnering with the Lions Club for the Recycle Regatta on July 4th. So if anybody has a business or a group of students who would like to sign up to build a boat made out of recycled material and you race them down the river against each other, that's coming up right after the parade on July 4th. So that's, even if you don't build a boat, it's really fun to watch. We also have the Curb Marketplace coming to the Indian River Mall. And yes, I know there's a lot of unease and uncertainty going on with the mall itself, but for right now it's in the hands of Wells Fargo and is moving forward as a mall, so we don't have to worry for the time being. So definitely come out and visit us. The Curb Marketplace, we do green products, organic products, and that type of focus in vendors in the food court. And we're also going to be, thanks to a grant from the Indian River Community Foundation, going to be doing upcycle workshops on those same days. So if anybody would like to sign up to learn how to create materials and what we call upcycling, making something of lesser value into something of more value. And those dates start on June 13th and are every other Saturday, starting on June 13th. So if anyone has any questions, that's what's coming up.
You know, one of the things that, one of the reasons I really wanted you to come is you spoke at the Sebastian Property Owners.
Yes, about the supplies.
And you were talking about the pickup sticks, the little pickup things that are available, and you have bags available for citizens here in Sebastian that want to police up their neighborhoods.
Yes.
Or if they want to, if they have a pocket park they want to police the pocket park up and pick up stuff.
Absolutely.
They can get those supplies from you?
Yes, anytime, any day, they can call us up and ask for trash bags. They can borrow the grabbers. We do also have them, we ask for a donation if they want to keep them, so that way we can replace them for people who would like to borrow them in the future. But we do provide all of that at the store. We provide gloves. All we ask in return is just a small report that says how many people and where you went to clean up, how many trash bags you got. So that way we can track it for the county, for the cities, and send it into Keep America Beautiful as well.
Okay,
And
great. So if citizens...
Anytime, any point in the year, it's all free.
If citizens wanted to...
It can be an individual, a group,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep, as a
Super.
corporate group wanted doing a beach cleanup, we can arrange all of that.
You're the person to see.
I am.
Okay, great. Could you give us a number?
Yes, you can call us at 226-7738, and we actually just made our new website live this past weekend, so a lot of the information is also up on our website.
And what's the website?
KIRB.org. Nice and easy.
Okay. Pretty much anybody should be able to remember that.
Yeah.
KIRB.org.
Yeah, or
Okay.
CURB, as
Curb.
everybody calls
Got it.
us, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Council? Okay, thanks so much.
If I can jump in very quick,
Yeah.
we don't know what happened to the PowerPoint in transit, but as soon as we locate it, we'll
Okay.
put it on Channel 25.
Okay.
Perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. All right, brief announcement. Sebastian Historical Society 30th anniversary is coming up this Saturday at 1 o'clock. Memorial Day observation is on May 25th, Riverview Park, Veterans Memorial at 11 a.m. Are there any other?
Yes.
Yes, Councilman McCoy.
MPO, which is our transportation organization, they are having a workshop tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 2:30. It's to discuss the 5-year plans. Anybody who has issues, concerns, or wants information, come here to City Hall, right here in this room from 1 to 2:30. The plans will be out here. There'll be people here to discuss with you what's coming up. Take your suggestions. If there are places you think they need sidewalks or bike paths or whatever your ideas about transportation, this is your one and only opportunity. We don't ask a lot. And this organization, and they're really known for, well, we had a meeting and nobody came and nobody said it. So come on down. Let us know. Let MPO know what you want. Tomorrow, 1 to 2:30. Or if we get done real quick, we can run over to the North County Library right now. They're at the library doing their nighttime session. But tomorrow for sure.
Councilmember Coy, I'm not sure that I recall correctly, but when I was on the MPO, I think the 5-year plan included putting new lanes on US 1 up to 510, is that?
Yes, and that's on the grid. That is online for now.
I know we stifled it going through the town.
Right, but up to 510, that's going forward for
Okay.
sure. And in fact, Frank Watanabe is going to a meeting on that. I read an email. On the 2nd of June, there's a big meeting on that. The other thing, there's some mention of stuff going on Roseland Road. So if you have concerns about perhaps widening, be a good time to show up, folks. Let me repeat that. Be a good time to show up and express your concerns. Thank you.
Don't say we didn't tell you, right? Okay. Any other announcements? Seeing none. Item number 7 is the consent agenda. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval?
Second.
All right, Sally, we need a roll call vote on this, I believe.
We do. Vice Mayor Adams.
Yes.
Ms. Coy.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. McPartlin.
Yes.
Mayor Gilmore.
Yes.
Thank you.
Under committee reports and appointments, do we have any committee reports? Seeing none. We have no public hearings. Item number 10 is unfinished business. Mr. Ginsburg, 10A?
Thank you. I asked for a shade meeting at our last city council meeting because we had received a letter from the plaintiff's counsel in the Fisherman's Landing restaurant case asking us to settle for $25,000, and I wanted to discuss that with you and have Mr. Vosell there as well. But a few days after we had our meeting, the plaintiff accepted the offer of judgment that we had proposed in the amount of $18,000. So I canceled the shade meeting, and that case is concluded. I have received word from Mr. Vosell that the releases have been submitted to us, and that we do need your approval of the settlement. And I think that this was an excellent resolution of the case for the city. Discovery hadn't yet fully begun. There had been a little bit of discovery. The preparation would have been quite expensive in preparation for trial if we had to go through a trial. And this is significant below previous discussions with the plaintiff. And it works out very well for us. So I hope that you will approve the settlement. That's 10A on your agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed settlement.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Is there anybody from the public that would speak on this item?
Good evening, Ben Hocker, Sebastian. We as taxpayers are now going to be paying this $18,000. Initially, there was a nonprofit who signed and approved the lease. How much funds of this $18,000 are we receiving from the nonprofit, if any? And why are we not? We're taking the full burden of that restaurant. Is there any answer to that?
Yes, we're not, I'll answer it. We're not asking any money from the other defendants. This is strictly our issue with the plaintiffs. And they sued us for $200,000, approximately. This is a superb settlement for the city and will save us enormous costs in terms of litigating.
All right, my
This
question
concludes
was
the
really,
litigation.
we had a nonprofit that did the initial lease, and there should have been some money coming from that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just to follow up on that, so that there's no confusion in the public, the nonprofit and us we're separate entities in this litigation.
Correct.
This is our total portion of the litigation, the city's part of the deal. Has nothing to do with the nonprofit or any other entity. This is the city of Sebastian. This means we are finished. Can't speak to anybody else. We're the city, and the city will be done by approval.
And I would say that you can, in this day and age, you can sue anybody for anything. And unfortunately, when you have a society that's that litigious, you know, you have to protect yourself. And we hired the best attorney, we thought, and they don't come cheap. So I think it's a good result.
It's an excellent result from 200,000 to settle out of court for 18. Thank you, everybody concerned.
Roll call, Sally, please.
Ms. Coy.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. McPartlin.
Yes.
Mayor Gilmore.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adams.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item 10B, approve consultant service agreement for the seawall engineering assessment. Mr. Griffin?
Yes, Council, good evening. In January, I was given instructions to search out a consulting engineer to conduct an engineering assessment of our waterway system and seawall system in the city of Sebastian in the southern waterway area. We put out a spec in an RFQ, request for qualification, in I think it was February, and received 10 replies to that. We formed a committee. The committee called that group down to 3. We called those 3 in for proper interviews, and we ranked those 3 according to the committee's ranking system for a first, second, and third, and we called the number 1 in for negotiations for fees. That negotiation didn't work out. And then we went subsequently to number 2 and 3 and got into fee negotiations with those 2 firms. Subsequently, we chose Hoyle Tanner as our selection and our recommendation to council to conduct the seawall engineering assessment. I was particularly impressed with the project manager who is going to be assigned to that project at Hoyle Tanner with his presentation. He is here tonight. Wilbur, would you like to come up and introduce yourself to council, please, and the public?
Good evening. As Mr. Griffin said, my name is Wilbur Maturin. I'm with Hoyle Tanner and Associates. We're a small firm based out of New Hampshire with a local office in Orlando, Oviedo. And I've been with the company for 13 years. I graduated in 1999 from Florida Tech up the road, and I started working with Hoyle Tanner right out the gate. I've managed probably 4 dozen projects with Hoyle Tanner over my 13 years, ranging from $500 studies to $10 million infrastructure projects. I'm a civil engineer by trade. What interested about this project was it's a different type of project for us. It presents a challenge in terms of this study. We want to be able to provide you with a tool that's going to it's going to end up giving you a planning tool. That's what we see this study as. It's going to give you a tool to help you make some decisions that the council needs to make going towards into the future. We want to give you a tool that's going to help you gain that multi-year plan that you want to do. So we're ready to hear your feedback, hear the feedback of the staff, the community, do our assessment, and put that all into one tool that will rank the seawalls, grade them based on a A to F or 1 to 10 scale of all the seawalls. That way you can know which areas need to be fixed immediately, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then we also want to do some research on some funding options that's going to let you know, is there money out there available to help the city pay for these changes. We see it as a project looking at safety and property value. Those are two main things for the citizens and for the cities, to maintain the property values and also to provide a safe environment for the residents. So I'm excited to be the project manager, and we look forward to doing this project if it's approved.
Very good.
So I'd like to bring this forward and recommend Hoyle Tanner as our recommendation to council this evening. And we feel that this is an excellent choice for us. We feel that Wilbur's going to be an excellent project manager on this job, and we want this to move forward with our recommendation.
All right. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that would speak on this? Sir, we have public coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask a real quick question. It is going to contain the different types of repair also, seawall versus slope versus riprap.
I think Frank can answer that.
That's right.
Question again, ma'am?
It's the proposal is going to include the different types of
Options, yes.
repair, the seawall versus where we might need grassy slopes, because I know that was part of our discussion.
Yeah, it was.
That was correct. Our initial scope had the options that we looked at when we talked about to council regarding, will we embank the slope naturally with grass? Do we look at, other types of seawall constructions for the future? And then we're going to let the design and the engineer come up with the various options. So we will look at those matrix.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I'm sorry to interrupt.
We didn't take any of your time, Mr. Hawker.
Yeah.
Not
okay?
a problem. Ben Hawker.
We'll reset the clock for you.
Give him an extra minute.
My question here is, does St. John's have any plans, anything that they have in the background or prior, did any detail work on this particular canal and system since they have control over it? And can we get some funding from St. John's, even just for the research? I know we're going to try and get something to do the whole project.
Sure.
But have we approached St. John's for something that they may have on record already as a plan ahead for this area?
It's something we can certainly look into.
There was a question on
Good
that
questions. I think to your second question, would there be funds available for helping us do that? I'm sure there will be. We'll be looking for some help from St. John's and anybody else that, we can get our hand in their pocket, I guess. Grants.
Well, the reason I went to St. John's and thinking about that, I had waterfront property. The bulkhead was on my property. That was totally my responsibility. Anything that was beyond my property was the township. Happened to be a canal. There was almost 2,000 linear feet of bulkhead. It was my total responsibility as the property owner.
Mm-hmm.
There was one area that intruded into the town right-of-way, which was the canal. That they came in and funded. Happened to be a drain basin that was required in that area. But again, as the property owner, it was my total responsibility for that bulkhead. And you're going to be asking the whole city to fund this project. And I can see where the bulkhead is not on my property. There's a responsibility with the city and St. John's. But to put this whole burden on the entire community, will there be bonds issued and put on the tax bills of the properties that are improved on that? So the whole city doesn't take a bite of that portion of money in the future? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would speak on this? Seeing none, any other discussion, council? Roll call, please, Sally.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Gilmore?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Coy?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that's passed unanimously. Let us move on to unfinished business 10C, and that's the approval of disc golf site on Schumann Island. Mr. Griffin?
Yes, sir. Moving this forward, this has been in the offing for about at least a year now, and Parks and Rec has come up with the final site for the disc golf course proposal of Schumann Island, and we are recommending approval.
Council, what's your pleasure?
I have some questions about it.
Okay.
Do you want to do public input and then get into deliberations, or are you looking for?
Pardon me?
I'll go ahead and move approval for discussion, for sure.
Okay, I'll second it for discussion. So we have a motion and a second. We'll open it up for public comment at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Evening. My name's Ellen Fischel. I live on Schumann Drive in Sebastian. I want to thank you for allowing me the time to come up here and speak concerning the disc golf course. Personally, I think disc golf's a great sport. I don't have any problem with the sport, just the location to place the course. Our biggest concern is for all the wildlife that exists on the island. We have a large variety of birds, gopher tortoises, black snakes, which several of these are on the endangered species list. If we have a lot of people and noise out on the island, that current population will dwindle rapidly. All of us that live around the lake, which actually I have a petition here of a lot of people that are in opposition to this disc golf, we all purchased our home there because we love that beauty on the island. We like the large bird population, just the nature that's there. We would love to see this park become a nature park, one which just has walking trails. People could see an alligator. They could maybe see an eagle perched atop a tree, a slow-moving tortoise crawl out onto a path, just to preserve some of the nature we have in this city. It's just a beautiful little island. The other big concern we have is the lack of public facilities on the island. Normally, a disc golf game is not going to be over in a half an hour. Are people going to leave the island during a game, get in their car, go try to find a restroom? I don't think so. So it could really endanger the facilities to unsanitary conditions out on the island. We have so many parks in this town that couldn't we find another park that this disc golf could be placed on, that has restrooms, that has water, even maybe has lights so the game could be played at night? And also, will there be weekly trash cleanup on the island? If the golf course is put there, this is going to be another place that the city will have to have crews go out and clean up the island weekly. We just would really request that this is considered greatly. We're very, very concerned about this happening out there. I thank you very much, and I hope it's given great consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You brought up some really interesting things to think about. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Karen Schuster, and I live here in Sebastian on Thunderbird Drive. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would like to express my concerns for the Schumann Island Park. I'm very concerned about the gopher tortoise hole there I found yesterday. Even though I did not see it personally, the hole looked very active. It wasn't overgrown or anything like that. At that time, I went to the Fish and Wildlife website, and in Florida, the gopher tortoise is listed as threatened. Both the tortoise and his burrow are protected under state law. The gopher tortoises must be relocated before any land clearing or development takes place, and property owners must obtain permits from the Fish and Wildlife Commission before capturing or relocating tortoises. That leads me to ask, has an impact study been done in reference to the wildlife on this island? If it has, what was recommended? And if it has not, why not? Next, I did not notice any signage on how the island can or cannot be used. I noticed on your website, the city, that the park is listed for scenic walks and fishing. The introduction of a sports facility would definitely interfere with the original purpose of the park, which I'm sure was given great consideration when it was designated. While walking the island, I did not notice any trash containers, but I did notice some trash thrown about. With the added use, I would be very concerned about the added debris. What containers will be there? How often will they be attended to? And if there is going to be the usage, I assume we're going to assign somebody to take care of it and clean it up. Another point is the lack of water and bathrooms, as Ms. Ellen said. At this site, as many of you are probably aware, there are no facilities, and rightfully so, on our spoil islands. As you probably are aware, the trash problem is great over there, and there is ample opportunities for you to see how people make their own bathroom facilities. It's just very obvious if you just go to any spoil island. This would create a health problem on our island here, and it would have to be dealt with. To add to that problem of no facilities, at this point, the athletes who come to do the disc golf, I think they would bring their family and friends and eventually invite other teams from surrounding areas to join them, and no facility should be a big concern to everyone. Because of all these reasons and others I am sure of, I respectfully ask council to locate the disc golf at another park where we have facilities to handle them. It is not fair to them, and certainly not fair to the citizens of Sebastian, to go to an island where its primary use is for scenic walking and fishing. Please leave this island to the wildlife and the nature lovers by locating the facility for the sport at another location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and I'm Richard Baker. I live at 522 North Blue Island Lane, right next to on my driveway. Sebastian is just on the east side of me. I actually am in the county. But I am really think that the Sebastian has done such an outstanding job in having some wonderful parks here. I mean, you have eagle nests, you have scrub jays. We are honored that one of the parks is the Martha Winiger Audubon Park that we worked really hard to preserve, and we had a big celebration for that. You have the first wildlife refuge kind of in your area. You have, and our Audubon chapter, I'm president, takes its name from the folks that helped support that expansion of beside the island, and we just celebrated our 50th anniversary last month here in Indian River County. Unfortunately, we didn't realize that you were considering this particular site for this particular sport until yesterday. Somehow it didn't get on our radar screen. And this is a wonderful park. I was there again today to take a look at it, and you're really lucky to have, this is unique. It's actually quite a very large island in the middle of a storm water park. And a lot of people, I'm sure, that lived around there, I don't know if you should have the map of the area on the screen. But all these citizens live around here, have a wonder, and there's quite a number of them, have a beautiful view right out their backyard. And I'm pleased that you passed a very nice fertilizer ordinance. You were one of the first in the county to do so. And I can see where with improvement of that fertilizer ordinance, you're going to, the water around it is going to be greatly improved. There is a lot of fish in there, and it's a wonderful place to visit. I thought that the island was really for fishing and wildlife. There are really no facilities there, but you do have a wonderful dock there that says for canoes and kayaks, and it says boats with electric motors. We really need to preserve this refuge for humans, not only just for the wildlife and birds that are around there, but for our general way to go. And I have nothing against golf. In 2011, a national survey for fishing, hunting, and wildlife associated recreation, so this is 4 or 5 years ago, but 46 million people are observe, photograph, or feed birds. 17 million of these folks do it outside their home. In other words, they're tourists, they go and they spend a lot of money. Actually, it was estimated that $50 billion goes into people who buy birdseed, cameras, binoculars, travel, airfare, lodging, and meals. And I think a lot of people come here to Sebastian area just before because of the birds. The golfers industry is going downhill. In 2011, the same time, while birders were 46 million, there were only 25 million golfers. And that was the high. Actually, the high was 30 million in 2003. So the number of actually golf courses is shrinking too. And I don't know about this particular sport. I think it's increasing. But in 2012, there were only 13 new golf courses in the U.S., but 154 closed in that 1 year alone. The question was, did this go before the Natural Resources Committee or only the Parks and Rec? And was there an impact study done on this? I don't know for sure. They've been mentioning that there are gopher tortoises out there. And when I was there, an eagle flew over. It's certainly not nesting there, but there is a nest close by, an eagle's nest close by. And I imagine with all the fish around there that area is a good spot for them to get some food. And have you talked to all the neighbors that live here? I mean, Aline spoke briefly in representing, but have you talked to the other? I mean, they moved there because of that island, I'm sure. That is really a gorgeous place to buy a home. And I would like to work with you, if we could, to explore other options for this sport. I don't think you should destroy one person's or one group of people's passion, like birding and wildlife, for another interest. I think this is a win-win solution. There should be a place in Sebastian. You can find another place for this. I understand you want some trees and stuff, but I think we'd be willing to work to try to help you find this. I mean, it's good to get the kids outside. I understand this is really a youth sport, mostly. Not older people do it, but youth. And we want people outside. We want people to enjoy it. So I think it's a win-win here, and we'd like to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Rich Henry. I bought a place there in 101 Ogden Ave about 4 years ago. What attracted me is when I walked over to the park and I saw how beautiful it was. And I'm from upstate New York near the Adirondacks, and there's a lot of preserves up there. It's beautiful up there. And they've had a lot of disputes, people trying to build too much. And when I heard about this park, which I saw no sign in the park, walking into the park, it'd be like future site of golf course, or nothing was put on there. To people that do walk over, they would have seen it and maybe spread the word. I just heard about it a little while ago. And there's a lot of people in the small area, they like going over there. I walk my dog there every morning, and when I walk through there, there's a lot of trees. One side to the right, it's a little more open. And the left side, there's a lot of trees there. And you'd have to take a lot of trees out to facilitate this golf course. And the erosion problem would concern me, because where's all the water going to go? The white sand's supposed to be percolate, purify the water as it goes into the canal. There's people coming in the area, you wonder who's coming in there, too many eyes and driving around the area, maybe more crime. The parking lot is all just grass and sand. You get a lot of people driving in, it's gonna turn into a mud lot. And it devastates the area. I just don't see, I was with my neighbor, Tom Jones, father and son carpet company. I was walking through there and I saw these eggs, and the tortoise was, I thought it was a regular turtle you see in the canal, but these are tortoises. He says, you can't touch them. There's tortoises in there. I've seen eagles the last probably month flying around the canal, landing in the tree, maybe to get fish. Maybe he's got a nest in there, I don't know. But there's a lot of wildlife, and it's just to have something that goes in there and it might be a flash in the pan, people are like, I don't want to go there no more, I don't like it. We found a better place to go. And then all these trees would be cut out, and they can't grow in 50, 100 years. I'm 62, I'd never see that. And that's why I bought the place. It was just in a nice area, I liked the location, and it's a quiet, mellow place. And to go in there and do that, I don't see it's profitable for anybody. There's other golf courses they could use. I think one in Melbourne, somebody said, and some other places, maybe they want one closer, but everybody's got to drive to the golf course someplace. And I don't know if there's young kids who's playing it. I never heard of it before. We just played Frisbee back in the day, so. I just hate to see it turn into something like that. Too much commotion, it's quiet out there. And a lot of people around the whole thing there. You see the guy from Long Island going there fishing every couple times a week there. It's just so quiet in there, it's beautiful. And to have people coming in and who knows trash and everything else going on in there, I just think it's a bad idea. But like I said, nobody knew about it till a little while ago. A lot of people didn't know sign was put up, so I just wish they'd rethink it and do something else, put it someplace else before the damage is done. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm Donna Halloran. I'm actually new to the area. I live on Autumn Terrace here in East Bridgewater. I'm here in Sebastian. And first I want to say that I'm an avid Frisbee golfer myself, and do play up in Melbourne and in Malabar. I'm also an avid photographer and an avid birder. And because I don't really know all of what we've been looking at as far as designating this area, I don't know if it was going to be considered a practice course, if it's going to be a 18-course hole, if it's going to be a 12-course hole. And if that has been looked at, and then also just the dynamics of what that looks like. The facilities that I generally play at do have wooded areas. However, they do have trash cans. They do have generally restrooms. They're usually located near a regular golf course or at a school. In Malabar, it's at the middle school. It's a practice course. So I don't know how it's been looked at, how they were thinking about designating that area. However, I have been there several times before I knew about this, just because I live in the area, and Stormwater has some absolutely beautiful birds in that area. Barred owls had some babies there about 2 months ago, and certainly see lots of other birds in that area. And really do feel the same way. I think everybody else is speaking right now, that it's a nature walk area. It's not designated for a sport that is wonderful, and it's wonderful to get outside and play it. However, I do think it needs to be looked at, and that location doesn't seem like it's the right place to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you like this petition?
You can bring it up or give it to Sally. That'd be great. Is there anyone else that would speak?
Good evening. My name is Darlene Cooper. My husband and I, after looking around...
Hold the mic towards your mouth.
Sure.
There you go. That's better.
Thank you so much.
My husband and I have been looking around Florida for a place to buy. We moved down from Vermont, so we spent the last 7 years looking for a place that offers what Sebastian offers to us. We like the small town, and we love the island, and the water are basically our backyard. And it's serenity. It's wonderful to go out and sit and just watch everything that goes on. We watch the eagle come and go and all that it takes place there. I'm not quite sure how the notice to the people came about, but we didn't know it until, obviously, tonight was the approval meeting, and we hadn't heard about it at all. My husband reads the paper every day, and so whether we missed it, it wasn't announced in a big enough way. And I can say from my neighbors and the list of 56 people on that short time that we took to get names on it, there could be more. So I think with all of the people that are here tonight, many of them, the neighbors who are very concerned about this taking away the beauty of where we live. So I would just like to point that out and have you consider that for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jenna Strom, and I live on 138 Kildare Drive. We've been married since the 80s, my family, and that's why we bought it here. And I'm concerned that we didn't understand or found out about it like a lot of the neighbors. I'm like 3 doors down from the bridge. I can see the kids go over the bridge and fish, and it's really becoming a great activity for the kids. And we've seen the, excuse me, we've seen the changes in our neighborhood. You see the slogan, 6-year-old grouches in Sebastian, but that's not what's happening in our neighborhood. It's becoming more diverse with younger children, newborns, people walking their kids down the street. And to do this to the park, if you did anything to it, what I would do is maintain docks, 1 or 2 or 3 around the lake, so these kids can go there and fish instead of running around causing trouble. And what I've seen, and a lot of us have seen, this has been a really good place for the kids to fish. I've seen a lot of fish, and since the fish kill, I myself have caught like 10 and 11-pound bass out of there. That's great for me. But that's what it was designed for, not a golf course, not a shooting range. It was designed for walks, nature, and fishing. That's it. That's why the bridge was built. I have been in town since the 80s. I was a Walmart store manager in '88. So I know this town, the demographics, and everything else. And to do this to the island would be totally against everything Sebastian is telling people that come here.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I just need to ask, what do you think we're going to do to the island? What do you feel is going to be done to the island that you're against?
Well, the first thing is you're going to cut down a lot of trees, quite a few of them.
And you know that how?
There were flags at one point. They're not now. I don't know why, but there were flags and ribbons around trees throughout the heat where we assumed they were going to be cut down.
Okay.
That's one. Number
okay.
2, everybody's mentioned about the gopher tortoises, the eagles, the birds of prey. I know there's hawks that,
I can guarantee you that no gopher tortoises will be harmed in this process at all. I will be personally responsible for.
Let
for
me
the gopher
ask you,
tortoise.
Yes. Have you ever been in the area where there are turtles, birds of prey?
I got elected up here because of gopher tortoises and Asbury and protecting
What
them,
happens
so.
when you put a lot of people in an area?
Okay, wait,
causing a lot
I
of-
just wanted to ask you a question. It's not an argument. I really didn't want to
Yes,
argue.
That's what
I-
I'm saying.
Okay, I
You've
just
got
wanted.
people
Okay,
coming in
okay,
here
we got
doing
it, we got it,
golf.
we got it. We got it. Don't make me sorry I asked the question, okay?
Well, if you asked, and
I
I'm telling
got
you,
my answer, thank
and
you.
a lot of
I
these
got my
people
answer. Thank you very
say
much.
the same thing.
I won't ask anybody another question. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
That's what's happening. When you do things like that, it's not going to be the same. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
It's not going to be the same.
Okay, we get it.
My apology,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor.
Ma'am, you've already spoke.
I just have one more thing. I do have a printout here from the National Disc Golf Association that talks about the proper layout for a disc golf course. It is 250 feet long for each hole and 20 to 40 feet wide for each throwing space. You go out and look
Mr.
at
Mayor,
that
point of
island-
order. The
Ma'am, you've
speakers
already
are-
spoke. You
Thank you.
can't-
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Is there anyone else that would? No, you've already spoke, sir. You have one chance. Yes, sir?
Hi, I'm Peter Robinson. I'm president of Laurel Homes and Laurel Builders. And the first thing that you've heard from all of these people is you're taking a passive park and turning it into an active park. And yet you didn't notify any of the landowners. If I'm a developer, I got to go notify half the world if I want to do anything. Why doesn't the city notify the landowners? You're seeing people that are very upset here today, and yet they didn't know about it till the last minute. And the way you're talking, you're going to go ahead and pass this thing, and that's not fair to these people. You should have notified them, got them in. When they went to the Recreation Commission, they should have had their shots there, but you haven't given anybody the shots. You don't even have a plan of what you're going to put here, but you're going to go ahead and approve it. And that's what everybody's concerned about, because this is a passive park. And they've talked about, you've heard the Audubon Society. And let's be honest, I'm not always on the same side as the Audubon Society, but you've heard them say, this is a mistake. You didn't give the people the right to express their opinion, and they're the people who are adjacent to this property. And we're those people too. We're adjacent to this property, and we never got a notification. And that's just not right. And if you really want to do this, you need to study it, but you also ought to look. The county owns a lot of land around here, and maybe the better spot for this is in a county area that's more open, where they aren't going to just go in and take a person, a little tiny park in a neighborhood and wreck it. And that's just not, it's not right to these people. As a landowner, I don't feel it's right to us to not even notify us. I think that really stinks. And I just ask you to consider that don't do something tonight to destroy everybody in this area. It's just not right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please, no clapping. Is there anyone else from the public that would speak? Seeing none. Council, I think we need to discuss this. And, I came with the idea that with an open mind, I think my mind's been changed. From what I've heard today and thinking about it, Chris, do we have plans for facilities there, for restroom facilities? We don't?
No, the site, the Malabar site actually uses porta potties there, and they also have a park across the street of Malabar Road, but that's a little dangerous crossing Malabar Road. People fly down that road. But
Let me ask you another question while I've got you talking. Have we thought out any options about other parks that are used for other things? I mean, it would seem to me we could be able to have a multi-purpose soccer field that could double as a disc golf field. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking.
I don't think we have the area, and most of our sports fields are booked 12 months out of the year. Some of the disc golfers that approached us actually approached Miss Coy way over a year ago, I guess.
Oh, about 2 years
yeah,
ago.
about
We've
2
been
years
looking at
ago.
disc golf for 2 years.
They would like a big piece of property. Unfortunately, our first choice was a stormwater park, and this went to Parks and Rec 3 separate meetings. This was discussed. The
Each one of those is
location.
noticed, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we've had it up here.
Yeah. You all budgeted money
Twice.
for it, yes. Mm-hmm.
This is
And,
number 3.
Yeah, so,
This is the third time in 2 years we've talked disc golf.
yeah.
We're not changing the use. That's the difference. We are not that's a park. We're not changing it from, I won't disagree with the terminology, active and passive, but it's still a park. We're not changing it into a condo or building anything on it. No, there's not an argument, and we don't debate. If you want us to listen, let's play nice, okay? I want to hear you.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Wait, we don't.
Point of order.
Don't discuss. And this guy can ask you to leave. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen.
I think it's appropriate at this time, after hearing from the public, that we as a council have a discussion.
All right, this is our
Amongst
time to
us.
talk about it.
Right.
So I think it's more appropriate that we have this discussion up here. Now, I came to this meeting with a very open mind. And, I think that the most appropriate spot for this would be the stormwater park. And my question to staff is, why is that not something that's doable?
We had, that was our first choice, actually. And that went back to St. John's, and they are kind of reticent about authorizing that.
Reticent, but?
More against it than for it.
Okay.
So-
So we've exhausted all our options.
Yes, and
Excuse
also
me.
there was a big turnout. I didn't mean to interrupt, sir, I'm sorry.
No, it was an interruption or disruption from the audience, so I was having difficulty hearing you.
Also, when that proposal was before Parks and Rec, there was a huge turnout for exactly the same type of
Sure.
reasons, that it was too narrow, knocking down too many trees, I mean, the same type of arguments.
Okay, so I'll just tell you where I'm at with this. I would prefer to see us exhaust all options with with St. John's and see it at that facility, because there's always these perceptions about what these things might turn into, and it's always scary. And no matter what we do to any park, we always have the same thing. We'll have 20 or 30 people from the area come in here and tell us that we're destroying their quality of life. That happens with every park we develop. Nearly every single, we discussed putting a pavilion in a park.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
Pavilion.
a huge destruction of the quality of life in the neighborhood. So I just want to be careful that, what we've heard tonight is the same thing we would hear regardless of where it is. It just happens to be where they live. And I understand their concern. And if I lived across the lake from that island and I thought they were going to level it and have a bunch of kids out there raising hell and throwing trash all over the place, I would have great concerns about that.
Me too.
That's not what disc golf is. That's not at all what it is. They prefer it being wooded. That's part of what makes the disc golf a challenge. They want it wooded. They don't want to remove trees. So a question for Mr. McCarthy again. What's the intention, should this be passed, or would it be passed, of clearing the island or removing trees?
All of the disc golfers I spoke to, and I've walked 3 disc golf courses in the area, and the one in Malabar, there's one of their baskets. I think a lot of people think we're going to come in here, clear cut trees and plants, lay sod down, and it's not that at all. That maybe trim some of the understory,
And just put a basket
Exactly.
every so often in the woods. That's all it is.
Yep.
And people come in there and they throw their Frisbees into these baskets.
In fact, one of
There
the
is a s-
holes at Malabar, the basket is surrounded by 3 trees.
Right, so it's scary. It's really a scary thing to hear. There's going to be a golf course on this beautiful island, but And some of the speakers have mentioned that they're concerned about, the number one concern is the removal of all of the trees, or a great majority of them. That's not the case. I'm still not convinced that this is the location that we should have, but I want to have an open mind, and I want to make sure that we're not looking at this as if it were something it's not, because it's really,
Right.
disc golf is a very passive sport, where you'll have a couple guys out there at a time essentially throwing a Frisbee around. So I get the concern. It's always scary when something's done, but let's make sure that we also, as a council, understand and realize that these are the same concerns we get when we want to put a pavilion or a bathroom or anything on any park that the city owns. And also, I would want to be careful when folks are saying something about destroying the city's quality of life, because I zoom away from that island, I see hundreds and hundreds of acres that the city has preserved in perpetuity for no development, and that's been done within the last several years. We've got a stormwater park. We've got the area just off Fleming, or where we shut Fleming down, tremendous area. And then you can zoom out further. We have the Martha Winninger Park. We have the buffer preserves. I mean, we've done a great job. This is a very important island to the folks that are here. Now, if we're going to approve a Frisbee disc golf place, we need to make sure we're doing it in the right location. We have a committee, the Parks and Rec Committee, that was tasked with finding that. So we also have to weigh their unanimous recommendation to do this. So that's what I would say. Again, I'm not fully convinced that this is the right thing, and I would like to listen to the concerns or comments from other council members.
We did have it at council as far as, Stormwater Park was the number one location, the go-to location. And by the way, from an environmental standpoint, disc golf is one of the most environment-friendly things, recreation sources you can have. They want trees. They want obstacles. They don't do straight line. It's not like golf where you have to be able to see that little pin down there. They want challenges and obstacles, and they don't want to be out in a field. They do not want that. That's not how you play. And they were here stating that when this first came up. This can be very environmental friendly. I see people shaking their head no, but that's okay. You can disagree. But I'll be the first person to scream if somebody takes a gopher tortoise out. And anybody who knows me knows that. Dick Baker will attest to that. And so will any developer sitting in this room. Yeah, he's smiling. Look at him smile now. Uh-huh. So I want to protect and preserve the natural beauty. Do we intend to take any of the docks or fishing? Do we intend to say no boating? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to discourage children. In fact, children will be encouraged. Is it going to cost money to go over there and play?
No.
No. It's free. It's another activity that families and children will be able to do. Are we going to be, if you sit and look from their property over, will there be a borderline of trees still around? We're not going to, it's going to look like an island, and it's going to look like trees. You're going to see basically the same thing you see now. Is there any way we can get an overlay and bring this back and show folks what this is going to look like? Here are the holes, here's the layout, and here, like we would do with the developers.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent suggestion, because what we're looking at in our packet is a pristine island that's wooded, and quite frankly, when I look at this, I'm not familiar with disc golf. I mean, I know you can throw one of those Frisbees maybe 100 yards, so I would think that you'd want to have maybe 200-yard holes or something like that. And when I look at this island, I don't see there's enough room to have more than 8 or 9 holes. I don't know that this is the right place.
9 holes was what they're proposing as the start, and that's probably going to be the max, so that we wouldn't be taking down.
Yeah, but I would like to see how many of these trees are coming out, and what the actual impact of this might be. My concern is that we may be jumping into something that there really isn't that much interest in, and ruining something that is good. It takes a long time to grow a tree, and I think there might be a better place to put this.
We've
know where,
kind of
but-
exhausted that, though,
Well,
at Parks and Rec.
well,
I
I-
think it's,
I
I
kinda-
think they've gone through the whole,
I
this may
kinda-
be the end. I mean, we can vote to, we can say, all right, no disc golf.
Yeah, well, I would kind of like to go along with Councilmember Hill and say, well, if the stormwater park is really number one, let's ask to do that and see what happens. We didn't get a no. We got a maybe no. Is that what I'm hearing? We got a maybe no?
A definite maybe. And, but the issue was it went back to Parks and Rec, and we had a turnout, much like you see tonight, about the folks who didn't want this in the stormwater park because of the environmental issues and the dog walking issues and just the same arguments, exactly the same.
They did look, too, initially over at the county land right next door,
I would,
right over here.
Excuse me,
There's
Mr.
lots of land.
Mr. Mayor?
I did have the disc golfers, I asked them to go out there and take a look at that, because I'm not afraid to ask the county, hey, can we use some of that? And it's just not adequate. There's water bodies involved very close to the road. To get in there, it's not conducive.
Yeah, Councilmember Hill.
Thank you. Again, you're going to get the argument no matter what park or piece of land we choose. We're going to have pushback from everyone. And again, I think that I believe that Parks and Rec and this council would prefer to have it at the Stormwater Park. And quite frankly, I would suggest that the Stormwater Park is tremendous. And there are areas of that park that could be utilized, or an area. And again, there's probably the perception when we say we're going to do a disc golf course, that we're going to be utilizing the entire park, for instance. And a small Frisbee disc park or course is not going to take up very much space. As Ms. Coy said, we don't have to have this. We don't have to have disc golf. We chose to look for a location for disc golf, and that's what we're doing, and we're having the discussion as to the suitable locations. It's just the perception of it's the perception and the thought of change and the fear of what it could actually be that really drives a lot of folks, and it's understandable. But again, you have a Parks and Rec committee meeting, you have a stormwater park that's already designated for essentially native, just being a natural area. Much like this park is that we have here, actually, this isn't designated a preserve or anything like that. It's just a city park, what we're talking about here. But I think that we should exhaust all options on the stormwater park, try to find a location that's suitable for this, and go forward at that. And then we can change our mind about having disc golf. But if we continue to go forward with the decision that we're going to have disc golf, then we have to find a suitable location for it.
Really think about this, though. To me, I really like eco-friendly. This is an eco-friendly activity. Very, very little intrusion. Very little intrusion on natural. We're not going to be. We can go around the beautiful big trees and keep the natural environment. Very little intrusion if it's done properly. Doesn't have to be big open spaces. To me, it's a perfect fit for what we do in Sebastian. We believe in preserving. So if it's not going to fit out there, why don't we look at both of it? Why don't we do an overlay at the park? One more time, we'll go around. You're going to have a group of people sitting. No, you all are going to be back the next time, and you'll be sitting over there, and then we'll have the other people from the upper end of Schumann and Stormwater Park will be sitting over here, and we'll go at it one more time. And
Mr. Mayor?
Vice Mayor Adams.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, hold on, we haven't heard from Vice Mayor Adams.
I'm actually going to withdraw my motion.
Pardon me?
I'm going to actually withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd withdraw my motion to approve this item and direct staff to exhaust all options with the Parks and Rec Committee to find a suitable location at the Stormwater Park for the disc game.
I'll second that. So we have a new motion.
And get rid of this one totally? No. Oh, okay. So we're going to overlay both of them?
Oh, he withdrew the motion.
This is not getting approved or this
But we're going to relook at stormwater. Yeah, I go for that. Here we go again.
Here we go.
Is there a second?
Oh, yeah, I second
Okay.
it. Vice Mayor Adams, we haven't heard from you.
Mr. Mayor, I was just a little taken aback by the number of people who say that they haven't heard anything about disc golf or plans for disc golf since we've been speaking about it for so long, and there have been so many meetings at the Parks and Rec level. So I'm a little concerned that residents didn't seem to know what was going on. In looking at the park, the Stormwater Park, as we've all said, was seemed to have been our first choice. So I would be in favor of, like Mr. Hill said, exhausting all the options for that one. But we have to look at what we want to provide for our city. Do we want to do things that will, I guess, preserve the status quo, or do we want to encourage new people to our cities, bring something new that might attract other people that might not necessarily even know about Sebastian? But also at the same time, it has to be an activity that won't destroy what we already have. So we really need to decide what we want to do. But I'm in favor of looking at the other option.
Okay. Councilmember Hartland, you're up.
I love the island over there. I guess, a lot of good points were brought up, and one of the things I would like to know is what the traffic is at that island right now. And then, when you're looking at the disc golf and say it is so successful, that everybody is coming down here and they got 200 people a day playing there, the idea of the restrooms was brought up. If it's that successful, then can this facility handle that success is something I think you need to look at. So it may, I'm all for going back, exhaust all the efforts at the Stormwater Park, but I'm also looking at the island, and, I see that whatever the lower half where the sparse area is in the middle, if we don't do disc golf here, maybe there's something else we can do there. Leave half the island as it is, and, the other half, there'd be great places there for picnic benches and families to go out there and discover nature just as well. And then who's picking up trash there now?
My crews do. Right, and to answer your other question, kids go out there and play paintball now. I've seen paintball.
Paintball?
Yes. So, and people walk it. There's a trail down the left side, any trees taken out would be pepper trees, invasives that aren't supposed to be there anyway to give us more room, But we totally intended leaving a buffer around the perimeter of the island so you can't, you can't see in there now from, from outside of it,
What's that space in the middle, that cleared area that got cleared somehow. That didn't just...
Yeah, it's just a real sandy area. That's
Just
where
real sandy, and it's a
that's where
natural-
the majority of it would be, on that side, on that south side there.
And so the whole other side
Yeah.
could be totally pristine and not... I'm for the suggestion to relook at the Stormwater Park. But we need to either put this totally to bed, and I think that would be a shame that we discourage people from having a really family-friendly activity here in Sebastian that really fits.
You know what I'd be in favor of? I'd be in favor of us setting up a little mini course at a park that we already have existing, and just see how many people are family-friendly or want to do that. Because if we have, I've not been approached by thousands of people wanting to throw disc golf things. I've not.
Were you on council?
I would like to see, I'd like to see a park where we put up a couple baskets or a couple practice holes to see how many people actually do this disc golf thing. If we have hundreds of people and families coming out there, then great, let's find a place for it. But if we don't, why all the aggravation? Really?
Maybe we should use 3 holes at the existing golf course.
That has been brought up from some of the disc.
Now, we do have that practice area there.
We do.
And that would be, we could put up some holes there, some practice holes, and see how many people
We
come
have
out.
an open area also at Filbert Street Park, towards the back of the playground, you know.
We also have a Parks and Rec committee that
That would
is
be,
tasked with looking at this. And I think that if the Stormwater Park, which was already decided by us and
Yep.
Parks and Rec
Yep.
as the one we want to do it on, let's go forward and try to get that done. If it's exhausted, then send it back to Parks and Rec and let them go park by park and decide what they think is best for this. Because the recommendation for this came from Parks and Rec Committee. They've given a unanimous approval on the Stormwater Park. They gave a unanimous approval on this island. And until I think that we get a no from the governing agency on that Stormwater Park, then we should exhaust that option first. And then we can send it back if we get a no.
Let's deal with this motion in second right now. Let's have a vote.
Mr. McPartlin,
What are we voting on again?
taking it back to, going back to look at stormwater again.
Yes.
Mayor Gilmore?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Coy?
yes,
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Thank you.
you know, maybe too, I like your a couple here, a couple there. Maybe we could have a round robin set and have them set over 3 or 4 parks and have people traveling all around the city of Sebastian, going from course to course. Do 3 here, go next 3 there. Would you do that, lady with that does disc golf in Melbourne? Would you play like 3 holes over here, take your family, drive a mile down the road, do 3 holes? Well, come up. I do want to ask you. Would you consider playing with your group or your family or whoever plays would you consider playing 3 or 4 holes here? Go get in your car, drive 2 miles, 3 or 4 holes there, and do like a round robin course. Would that be cool?
I think it would be okay to start with to try to see what location works best. I'm going to say that I have foster children, boys, and most of the disc players that I play with are young gentlemen in their 20s, and there's usually alcohol involved, so there usually is not driving.
You're not going to play in any of our parks.
Well, I'm just saying that's an issue. So, that would have to be considered. But I think that's a great idea, just to kind of give people an idea of what because I think that a lot of people don't know what it is. It's a great sport, but there is a
Spread
place
out.
for
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Okay?
Sorry.
All right. We are now on to public input, number
Right.
11.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, that's right, 10D. The,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
could I just verify what my instructions are?
What's unclear about that?
Well,
The instructions I would suggest are to go to St. Johns River Water Management Plan with a plan for a Frisbee disc course at the Stormwater Park and try to get approval from St. John's.
and then we move this to, yes or no, then we move this to our Parks and Rec Committee?
If it's yes, then it comes to us for final approval. If it's no, then it goes back to Parks and Rec.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ginsburg.
Yes, sir, thank you. This is 10D. This is 198 Columbus Street property that I brought up at your last agenda. The reason I brought it back was, actually, we're well on the way here to resolving this at this time, but there was an issue that I didn't bring up last time that has come up, which is that there were certain expenses incurred by the brother in the cremation, I believe, of his brother, and he would like those covered if there's money left over from the sale. What you have before you is a proposed letter written by the building official, which basically says what our plans are and we discussed this last time, the city intends to recoup all its costs with the sale of the property eventually, and that is the cost of acquisition, the cost of demolition, and the cost of sale itself. All the city's costs would be covered. If there's money left over after that, the administration and we are not averse to providing the brother some reimbursement of expenses that he has incurred with regard to the death of his brother. But you hadn't considered that, and that's why I brought it back to you to get your permission before we sign this letter and send it out. But that was the request that was made.
Okay.
I'd move to approve the request.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody from the public that would speak on this? Seeing none. Any discussion? None. Sally, roll call, please.
Mayor Gilmore?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Coy? Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. McPartlin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's unanimous. Let's move to item number 11. This is public input. This would be new information or request to City Council not otherwise on the prepared agenda.
Excuse me, Norman Meyer. I represent the Veterans Foreign Wars, American Legion, the Lions Club. I am basically here to thank the council for their support of the upcoming activities for the Memorial Day weekend, which starts on Saturday the 23rd with a very ceremony at Earl's Hideaway, and there's going to be 3 days of fundraising by all the clubs involved, which the money is going to go to all the veterans organizations here in the county. And they wanted me to express our gratitude to the City Council for their support.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that have public input? Seeing none, we are now on to new business, number 12A.
Yes, sir. I wanted to move this issue forward. This is a little bit premature, but this is a very big, expensive item that we're going to be moving our request into fiscal year 16 CIP. This concerns the golf course irrigation. As you know, we've had some irrigation problems out there, getting proper coverage at the golf course, and we want to improve on that. It's a 35-plus-year-old system, constantly breaking down, which is obviously expensive year over year. There's some other improvements that we would like to make at the golf course with regard to the golf course restrooms. We've been talking about that for about 2.5 years. Also, electricity at those restrooms, and also new piping for county water out to those restrooms. This project is estimated at about $1.3 million. And Ken and I have been, Ken mostly has been working diligently on giving me funding options for this. And the best thing that we have come up with is a two-pronged approach, covering half of it from a loan from the building department to the golf course that the golf course would pay back over 20 years, and also the rest of it coming from DST, the Discretionary Sales Tax Fund. So, as I say, this is a little bit premature. We are planning on getting this onto the CIP. If I can elicit the conversation, get a consensus of how council feels on this, but we would like to move forward on this project. Start date would be about October 2nd, right as soon as we can possibly do it in the new fiscal year.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you looking for us to approve this plan tonight or discuss and modify the plan?
This is just before council tonight for discussion, and ask for modifications, and we'll incorporate those modifications as necessary.
Thank you.
Greg, do you want to fill us in a little bit? I know we've been talking with Melanie, and every time we have Greens meetings, she's talking about the irrigation system, and this broke and that broke, and you just did aeration, but I guess it was just of the Greens.
Exactly.
We can't, as I understand it, we can't aerate our fairways because the irrigation pipes are so shallow, we punch them, and then we got to go fix those pipes all the time, and it's just really a decrepit system right now. And as we understand it, as I understand it, you can't really have good greens or good fairways or good tees unless you have good irrigation. So there's really no sense in us going forward with doing any modifications to the course unless we get the irrigation in place. Is that about right?
That's exactly true. I guess the phrase would be, we really can't cultivate the golf course properly. There's more acres on the golf course property than not that we really can't cultivate properly. Just like you said, aerify, even verticutting fairways is a little dicey. There's so much hydraulic tubing that's inches just under the surface. So a lot of thin, we literally have a leak every single day. I mean, every single day there's something leaking, whether it's a hydraulic line or an irrigation line or whatever. A lot of times when we do repairs, we learn as we go as well too. We'll see thin-walled pipe, non-Schedule 40 pipe at times. Maybe there is a tee where you would commonly have a couple bags of concrete at the back end of that tee to just prevent the pipe from moving. There's never any concrete that we'll find. We'll go in and find, maybe they threw in a tree stump or what would be called a thrust block. Of course, it's a rotted mess by then. A lot of times there's not even any thrust blocks at all. During our last golf committee meeting, Mel brought in a couple of the brass fittings that actually had holes bore through them. Again, from 35 plus years, that's going to happen. During freezes, when we get our share of cold weather, obviously the turf actually kind of fluctuates a little bit. Just had leaks galore after times like that. Also times when we have a tremendous amount of rain, when the turf really gets soft, again, we'll start having leaks just, I say we have one a day, we'll start having 3 or 4 a day after certain weather events when it just causes the turf to fluctuate, and again, the pipe will move, and it's just so fragile and brittle that, we're fighting an uphill battle repairing it constantly.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Having a small amount of expertise in this, which is sort of a joke because I have a tremendous amount of expertise in this, actually, I would suggest that the system has reached its useful end. It's done. This was brought to us about 3 years ago, I think. And at that time, we were still in an area economically where there was some insecurities. There were golf courses closing, and I know I brought that up, that I've seen golf courses closing because of the lack of play.
I remember that conversation.
It's good to see that the economy's turning around and the golf course is starting to do better. I would say that a system that's 35 years old, they're probably having difficulty finding parts that even work on the system, let alone being able to keep it together to where we can have high quality turf. An irrigation system is an integral part of a golf course. It's part of the lifeblood of a golf course. Without a good quality irrigation system, you do not have a good quality golf course. And having played out there for years, you can start to see now areas where you're having weeds that are sort of high moisture weeds because there'll be a leak that could leak for weeks because they don't have time to fix it, but it's just a small leak. So it's just sort of making the soil extra moist. So you really have to replace these things. 35 years is a stretch, and I knew it back then, but back then the economy was at a point where we were concerned, and I was concerned as to whether or not the golf course was even going to be viable in going forward. Now I believe it's time to make the necessary repairs. Repairing an irrigation system after 35 years is more maintenance than anything. It probably should have been repaired 15 or 20 years ago. So, we just had to redo the pump a while back. If we're going to be doing some improvements out at the golf course, if we don't do the most important improvement, then everything we do will be for naught. So I am fully in favor of going forward and doing this. The funding I have questions about, but I'm going to trust Mr. Kilgore to come up with the best options with that. That we're going to take the money from the building department and give a loan. If that jives with the city manager and if that jives with the city attorney and Ken Kilgore, I know he's biting his teeth when he's doing this, but if it jives with him, then it jives with me and I'm good with it. This needs to be done and I'm in full support of it.
We're overdue.
Yeah. So are you looking for a motion?
Just a consensus, really, to go forward. We will be tweaking the funding. We're going to be taking a close look at that. As I said, I didn't want this to be a surprise when it's on the CIP and you see it for the first time. Of course, it would go before BudCom, but I still wanted this to be out there. In fact, of everybody's mind, significant expenditure for the golf course. I understand that better than anybody, and we will be taking a look at all funding options, anything available, to make and deliver the best product that we can.
I think we have consensus. Everybody's shaking their head, I think. I think we're good. Okay. City attorney matters.
Nothing tonight, sir. Thank you.
City manager matters.
Yes, I have a couple things, sir. Thank you. On Friday, there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the Pelican Porch project at the Chamber of Commerce. And that is at between 8 and 10 a.m. And what is going on there, they have requested that we close part of Main Street eastbound, east of US 1, just in that southern section on the south portion of Main Street there before you get to Indian River Drive. So we're going to block that off. Normally we do a road closure like that, get that before council or proper announcements. This was kind of decided on just a few days ago. Didn't have time to get it on the agenda, so I wanted to get a consensus from council that this is okay. I've already got the chief of police on board with it, and we're going to go ahead with that, assuming everybody's fine with it here tonight. But that is for their groundbreaking ceremony for the Pelican Porch project.
Would it affect westbound Main?
Will not affect westbound, only eastbound. And we'll have police volunteers out there along with the barricades and things like that.
For a couple hours, you're saying?
Yes, sir, for 2 hours.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Okay, thank you. Next thing. Today, we had a ribbon-cutting dedication ceremony at the Fisherman's Exhibit at Fisherman's Landing, Sebastian. And really, there were two people that I failed to acknowledge there who have done absolutely fabulous work down there, working along with Ruth Stambridge, Wilbur Breedling, and getting that exhibit complete. And that is Jerry Converse, who is our Director of Operations in the Public Works Department, and also his able assistant, Billy Wilson. These are two folks that really have risen to the top here, have done absolutely fabulous work down there and bringing that exhibit together, and they really deserve a lot of thanks from us. So thank you very much to those two. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, sir.
Okay. City clerk matters.
I have nothing, thank you.
Vice Mayor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to announce that today we had our first meeting of the Sebastian Youth Advisory Council. I think it went well. They've chosen their chair and vice chair, and they've scheduled their next meeting for August 12th. So we'll be looking at some things that they could get involved in, what they could be discussing at their next meeting. But it went well today.
I'd like to suggest disc golf. Just a thought.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Coy.
No, with that, I don't have anything.
Okay. Councilmember Hill. Councilmember McPartlin.
All right, a couple of things, I guess. First and foremost, Indian River County has their foster parent recruitment breakfast. It's at the Unity Church of Vero next Thursday at 8:30. Again, it's a free breakfast. There's nothing, asked of you except going out and keeping the conversation going to get more foster parents on the Treasure Coast, because we need them here. We have a tremendous amount of kids that are out of county and out of the circuit. The second is, I'd just like to thank you, Mayor Gilmore, taking your show on the road about the Indian River Lagoon. You're doing a fantastic job with that. I actually listened to the tape from Indian River Shores, and just keep fighting the good fight. So thank you in that. I think you're doing fantastic. And then finally was it this week? I can't remember. I went to a poverty forum in St. Lucie County, and well, also to go back, I think it's kind of fitting, well, a little bit, you know, it's National Peace Officers, you know, the Memorial Week. And I think every day we need to keep in mind about, you know, we have fantastic officers here in Sebastian. You know, and you all received a letter from Mr. King. He was, you know, thanking Detective Rich Snell and Carlin Parker, you know, for, you know, their professionalism and getting the thing done. I mean, they have a sense of urgency when they're out there. And then also, because I went to this poverty forum, and in the morning, of course, it was all social service agencies, you know, we were all the touchy feel-good kind of people and, you know, kumbaya. But in the afternoon, the sessions where they had law enforcement and first responders. So I sat in there, and Sebastian, you know, had sent 4 officers there. And I could not be more proud of them as far as their professionalism, and they were engaged in this. This has to do with working with people in poverty and understanding the languages. You know, it's not just looking at them as lazy drug addicts and stuff like that, but just trying to work with them. And, you know, Sergeant Steve Marcinick, again, Carlin Parker was there, and then officers T.J. Irwin and Pete Miller. I mean, they were absolutely engaged in the material, and they take that. And anybody who knows Steve Marcinick, I mean, he didn't even realize he does that stuff. And you know, he's just so caring in the community, and we are just so fortunate in all the good work that the officers do, because they do a lot of stuff in the community that people don't even realize that's going on. You know, and another one, I mean, and it starts from the top, the leadership, you know, Chief Morris back there. She's very involved in a lot of things. You know, I'm involved, you know, for my other role with the state, and I see her out in boards, you know, on the Department of Juvenile Justice. We serve on those boards. What we can do with civil citations for you so you don't wind up with, you know, criminal records, and it impedes everything along their life. The round table. She's out at so many events, and then also, you know, because I work in the other counties, is she's so highly respected by the other law enforcement agencies that are out there, and we're just so very lucky to have her. I know every time I'm out in Okeechobee, you know, the sheriffs always tell me, well, how's Chief Morris doing? You know, she's fantastic, she's wonderful, and you know, especially when you look around the country and you see some of those hot spots and the way things are going, is that our officers are really committed to working with every facet of the population, not just, you know, how do you say, mature retirees, you know, and the kids, and, you know, and in the pockets of poverty that we have. They're out there and they're working, and they do a sensational job, and I just wanted to thank them.
Thank you. Well, the only thing I have is that we have, it was interesting that we had the 3 folks from the NEP, the interim director, Marie Sterling, and Derek Busby, and Frank Sakura came down. We invited them down to the Working Waterfront ribbon cutting. They came. They were really blown away when we walked them through first, showing them that about a month and a half ago. And we were successful in having Vero Beach join us in our quest to get a seat on the board for the Indian River Lagoon Council. I believe that Fellsmere will be voting on the 21st, as will Indian River Shores. I'm not sure how the Indian River Shores thing will come out. I'm hopeful, but I'm really positive that Fellsmere will be positive, and they'll vote to be part of that. I guess my question to council is, our next meeting would be what, the 27th, Mr. Griffin? The next Lagoon meeting, and I was asked by Derek Busby from the NEP, he said, when are you going to be ready to ask for a seat? And I said, well, maybe June 5th. So if that's the case, if we get a positive response from Fellsmere, as I'm pretty sure we will, we could probably have an interim meeting before the June 5th next date. And so it looks like we would have to have at our next council meeting, something on the agenda as to who the person's going to be that's going to represent us. So I would ask the council to put that on and ask Mr. Griffin to put that on our next meeting. I've asked our attorney about, it would have to be a public noticed meeting, and we'd still have time, I guess, to do that in between the 21st and the 5th.
Yes, it's always been my opinion that the Sunshine Law requires at a minimum of 24 hours notice.
Okay. So if it's council's pleasure, that's what we'll do. We'll have that designation on the next council meeting, and then hopefully, if everything goes right, time between the 28th, short window, but between the 28th and the 5th of June, we'll have a meeting here of the committee, whatever that is, the three cities or four, to determine our course. So
Who's going to sit at the meeting?
yeah. But I talked with Murray Sterling and the folks from the NEP, and they were hopeful that we could go ahead and get a seat, but it's going to be a tough fight.
So they're okay with municipalities combining like we're doing?
They are, yes, and I think that most everybody that sits on that committee is as well.
Okay.
Because
we're all in the same county and we're representing.
Right, and the other thing is that in our interlocal, it says that down the road, if the county has a change of heart, that we could change places and they could take the seat there that we have, if they pay us, the money, pay us back, sure. Could be some interest involved, you never know, but. No, you never know, but anyway. Okay, that's all I have. I guess we're adjourned. Good meeting.